Welcome to DIY Easy Crafts and Berg Today we're going to take a look at a very simple bolster tool for knife making. Now I just recently started working with stainless steel bolsters. For the last couple of years I've made quite a few knives with brass bolsters, but brass is a lot easier to work with than stainless. In order to rough shape the brass bolsters, I did most of it just with a disc grinder, an angle grinder and a vise. I tried to do that with the stainless, and it just takes too much time. So I really wanted to be able to rough grind the stainless bolsters using my 2x72 grinder. The problem is, the part is very small, it becomes hot very fast, and because I'm utilizing a very coarse grit belt on the 2x72, if it slips at all, you very quickly jam your finger into the belt. And let me tell you from first-hand experience, a 36 grit belt can grind through your finger in a matter of seconds. So I didn't want this to happen to me a second time. I was walking through Ace Hardware store. I saw this little vice grip. It is a sheetrock vice grip. A sheet metal vice grip. It's kind of a neat little tool. It's about $20 or so. I made one small modification to it. With an angle grinder, I just cut slightly larger than an 1/8 inch groove right down the center of both plates. And this ended up being a really kind of a cool little vice grip to use for bolsters. Not only to hold them when doing the rough shaping on them, but also when mounting them onto the blade. And I'll show you both. So because I put a slit in it, you can actually pin both bolsters together. I use 1/8 inch pins. And then they're basically held together as they would be on the knife. So I can use this sheet metal vice grip, and I can rest on a 90-degree work table, and I can really apply a decent amount of force. I can use a coarse grit belt. I can generate a decent amount of heat without burning my fingers. And I'm really not scared of jamming my finger into that belt again. And of course, you could do something similar just with a regular pair of vice grips. You just wouldn't be able to rest it as easily or as flat on that 90-degree work table. Now, in addition to doing the rough grinding, I was also able to use the same tool to form the very front edge of the bolsters. I do that on a 10-inch wheel. I was able to keep that bolster right on that same 10-inch wheel, change the belts, and go through a variety of different belts down to about 1200. And then I actually even switched it over to a felt belt and did the polishing right on the 10-inch wheel. So this is the 10-inch wheel now. And I started, I think, with an 80 grit just to get the shape. And then I went to a 120, a 240, I think a 400, an 800, and a 1200. Which doesn't take long. You know, all you're basically doing is getting out the scratch lines from the previous grit. And the whole time I'm doing this, both halves or both sides of the bolsters are clamped together firmly and the pins are in place. And this is actually the felt belt with polishing compound. And this can, especially if it hits that corner of the bolster, grab occasionally. But, you know, using vice grips like this, you have, plenty of grip. I felt very secure. So when mounting bolsters, if you haven't done them before, you always want to finish that front edge because you can't really polish it once it's mounted to the knife. So these are the bolsters. I did flatten the back edge on a disc grinder, and I also flattened the mounting surfaces on a disc grinder because I want those to be nice and flat against the blade. I also used a tapered reamer for both of the pinholes. So the pinholes are kind of angled inward like a funnel. So when you peen the pins fill in that void and really secure the bolster to the blade. I use the same sheet metal vice grip with the modification in order to begin that hammer peening process. Now in the past, you're kind of trying to fumble around holding the bolsters in place, tapping on the pins, trying to get those to peen over or to wedge down on the bolsters. This allows you to actually clamp the bolster onto the blade so that the whole surface is nice and flat before you begin to do the hammer peening. And you're not going to do all of the hammer peening with it clamped like this, but each of those blades is thin enough that you can get both sides started. And that's really all you need. Once the bolster is firmly in place, which means that the pins are wedged enough so that those bolsters are not going to move anymore, then you can finish hammer peening after removing the clamp. And this is done, I use both the flat side as well as the ball peen side of a ball peen hammer. I'll just let this continue, but basically that's it. I just wanted to show you the tool that I had found, just a very easy tool, a modified sheet metal vice grip. I found it at Ace Hardware, but I'm sure they have them at Home Depot or at Harbor Freight. I hope that you enjoyed the video. It's a very simple one this week. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and by all means make a comment. I'd love to hear what you think. Please join us on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com or at my site, BergKnifemaking.com. And also join us on our Facebook group, Knives and Knife Making, where you can post pictures of your own projects. Thank you very much.